Welcome back to the Caregiver Minute, where every weekday family and professional caregivers gather to refine their skills, gain inspiration, and prepare to serve. Sometimes it's so easy to get hung up on an individual's behavior that we forget to ask, what is the real need there? What is it that they're trying to communicate? I once took care of a lady named Peggy, and every day, right around 3 o'clock, she would get a little bit frustrated, and she would go to one of the doors that was locked, and she would start knocking on the door. Now that door led into the lobby area of that memory care community, and my office was near there, and so I could hear her come up to the door and start gently knocking. It was always soft, but she would stand there for as long as you let her, because she had no sense of the flow of time. She didn't know how long she'd been there, and you would just hear this knock, 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 knock. Now, the first thing that you want to avoid is going through that locked door. The minute you go through a secure door that somebody else is knocking on, what you communicate to them is, oh, this door really does work. And that primes them to be agitated. Why won't this door open? What is wrong with this? Why won't you let me through? And they feel like they're trapped. I would come through a different door and approach Peggy by walking up the hall toward her. And then I'd act surprised, and I would call her by name, and I would talk about how excited I was to see her. I'd treat her like a long-lost friend, and I'd start mentioning her daughters by name. I'd talk about things from her life that I recalled, that I knew that she would remember, so I could give some social proof that I knew her. And then I'd say something like, it seems like you were headed someplace. I don't mean to interrupt. And she said, yeah, I have to go home, but this door is broken. I don't know what to do. I came to know over a few interactions that when Peggy was knocking at the door and she wanted to go home, what she was really communicating is, I am exhausted. I need to take a nap. I need to get home so I can get to my bed. Now, going home can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. It might mean I need to get dinner ready for my husband because he's going to be home and he'll be a little bit grumpy if I don't have it set to go. It might mean I need to go pick up my 10-year-old from the school bus. It might mean that I'm tired. It might mean that I'm tired of being here. It could mean 1,000 different things. But if we're open to it, we can usually figure out what it is that a person needs. And sometimes it will be repetitive, the same kind of need coming up day after day. Well, in Peggy's case, I came to the point that I could start saying, I know right where to go. And I'd offer her my arm, and we'd walk along, and we'd talk about things that we saw in the moment. And then right before we got to her room in the memory care community, I would prime her mind and try to refocus it. I would pause and I'd say something like, oh, I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired. And she would say, oh, I'm exhausted. And just then I would open the door to her room. I'd point to her bed and I'd say, here's your bed. I'll let you lie down and rest. And she would sort of melt and say, thank you. And she would go lie down, take a nap for about a half an hour, and she'd get up refreshed and feeling so much better. That is a very different kind of interaction than many people have in that scenario. A lot of times when someone like Peggy is knocking on a locked door, well-meaning people will walk through the door, thus communicating that it actually works, and then there will be a long conversation about all the reasons why she can't go home right then. Now, there are a lot of reasons that we could give why it might not work to go home then, and we could kick the can down the road a little bit. That's an effective technique. But if we can figure out that people like Peggy might have an unmet need, there might be a way to fill that need right there in the community, like I did with Peggy in helping her have a nap. If we can look for those things and understand them and fulfill the unmet need, we're likely to get a lot further. So today, I invite you to consider somebody that you're serving and ask yourself, what are some unmet needs? How are they communicating those unmet needs? What could I do to help meet them? If you have that kind of a thoughtful consideration of somebody that you're serving, I really think it'll make a difference for them. Well, thanks for watching the Caregiver Minute, and thanks for sharing it for anybody you know who may benefit from it. I'll see you tomorrow for another episode.